Hello, my name is Mandy, and today I want to talk about what you can do when a man has not initiated you going somewhere with him, and instead you're staying on the dating app or you're just staying on the phone, texting endlessly, maybe even leaving voicemails, but there hasn't been a pursuit coming from him where he is taking the leadership role and moving the relationship along and actually like asking you to meet up for coffee or take you out on a date. You're starting to feel anxious, you're starting to feel constricted, and what can you do? Now, I just recently went through a an experience like this with a seemingly very great man. He's a doctor. He makes good money. He takes care of his body. At least, it seemed like that on the dating app. A Christian man. We exchanged a couple texts on a dating app. And we also exchanged a number of voice text. I prefer voice texting because then you can actually get the tone of a man's voice. You can hear a lot in a voice, and his voice was wonderful. Like, it was one of the best voices I'd ever heard. And we talked primarily about our faith, about God, about scripture, about values. And so the beginning of this exchange with this person was going really well. I am the type of person that really likes face to face interactions. In the past, I have felt an insecurity and a low self worth that would keep me from wanting to actually meet someone in person because rejection can feel painful if they reject you. Meeting someone with the potential of it not working out, either they don't feel the chemistry or you don't feel it. It can be awkward. It can be challenging. But now, after going through several years of being alone and walking with God and keeping my eyes on Jesus and knowing my worth in Jesus, I'm not in that place I used to be where was coming more from a place of pick me, choose me, choose me. Now I am in the place of I'm choosing a partner coming from a place of feeling healed and whole. And therefore, I'm no longer willing to stay on a dating app for very long. I really want the man, I want to feel from the man his masculine presence, his masculine energy coming through, and wanting to pursue with intention, with the possibility of it not working out. But he has a sense in himself too of God's providence, God's plan. And how are we going to know unless you take the risk to put yourself out there and have a conversation knowing that no matter what happens, everything's going to work out. Even if it doesn't work out, it's still going to work out. I say that because in the past, like I said, I was too afraid often to move it forward, and I would develop all of these emotions even before I had met the guy in person. I would start to feel attached to someone that I hadn't even met in person yet. I'd start to think about them and start fantasizing, and I would go way into the future before we even had a date. And because of the pain that caused, I don't do that anymore. My past has informed my present, and I live with more intentionality, authenticity, and more groundedness, and also more peace in the land of reality rather than in the land of fantasy, because I definitely know about limerence. I know about going too fast. I could do a whole seminar on that, and I don't want to because we're not even thinking about those things. God has transformed me literally, and I'm a new creation, and therefore I have a new mind. He's renewed my mind, and I do things differently now because I'm empowered by the Holy Spirit that lives inside of me, and I continue to abide in God. He abides in me every day, and he gives me the power and the grace and the ability to make good and sound, sane choices for myself. So back to this guy, nice conversation, like I said. However, I could feel that there was just too much at the forefront, like too much being disclosed. And what I mean by that is like there were some voice texts that were over 5 minutes, and there was some some emotions going on, and like almost like feelings, and it was like, wait a second, like this is all nothing but projection, like we haven't even met yet. He had sent me this long voicemail, and none of it was bad. I sat with it for a second and I was like, okay, God, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? In the past, I would have felt like an immense amount of pressure, or, oh my goodness, I got to say the right thing. I got to hold on to this guy. I mean, he's this, and this. And rarely do I find a 6'3" doctor, good looking man that loves Jesus and seems to be a really provider kind of type with a really rough, gruff masculine voice. I'm like, oh my gosh, this doesn't come around every day. I need to do something. I need to get into the role of the masculine. I need to make myself amazing in order to pull him into me. And it was like, no, we don't do that today. God has changed us. We don't do that. We trust God. I asked God, like, okay, what do I do here? And it was like, there's nothing I need to do. I don't want to answer his question, which would have put me in this position of divulging like just too much before I'm ready to divulge all this. I'm definitely not like a locked woman. One of my good friends and I, we always say this, we'll say recovery and healing for some people is quieting themselves, and for some people it's speaking up. For some people it's make your bed every day, and for some people it's like, you know what, it's okay, just don't make your bed one day, like you're all right. So recovery and healing looks different for different people. For me, I have a tendency to be way too patient, way too open, way too non-judgmental, way too sensitive and empathic, way too forgiving, which I think are great qualities. And I don't want to stop being forgiving, and I don't ever want to stop being empathic. But it those superpowers I feel that I have went into a way that would really hurt me. And so I've learned to protect my heart and to be more reserved and to stay a little bit more locked. And a man has to like he has to earn the things, like my emotions, my feelings. He has to take the initiative and actually work and do something to be able to be in my presence, to be able to live in my radiance, to be able to hear my heart and just divulge all of the intricacies of my heart and my visions and my feelings and my passions. And I'm an endless ball of yarn that never ends. You could continue to pull on me and unravel me for the rest of my life, and I know that about myself. And I used to just give it all to a man right at the beginning without him even having to work for it, because I had such low self-esteem. In this particular instance, I could feel that he wanted to pour, he wanted not pour, but like pull this out of me, he wanted more of me, almost like a drug in a way. And I'm like, no, in the past I would have done this, but like, no, I'm not afraid to lose him. Yeah, like maybe disappoint him or say no to him. I have to be able to really drop back in and stop shoulding myself, meaning like, well, you should just do it. You should just do that. Gaslighting myself, all those things that I would do. Like I wouldn't listen to my intuition, my gut, the visceral reaction that I would get. I wouldn't listen to that. I would push my body to the side, and I would get in my mind and I would like think about what I should do. And so it was really neat to really love myself through this process and go, I don't want to divulge more of myself. In fact, what I want is I want him to lean forward, and I want him to lead and initiate the conversation and bring us off the dating app and bring us more into a space of safety and resonance and presence. So I responded very gracefully as I always do. And I said, those are great questions. And those are things that I would prefer to reserve in divulging. And it's, I'm not saying I wouldn't divulge them, but they are things I'd like to divulge when we could see each other, maybe over coffee or face to face. These are things I like to talk about in person once I get to know someone. I was leaning back into my femininity, and I was just merely speaking about what it would feel like, because he had said something about how he wanted me to go into detail about certain things that I feel are decadent, and it felt like, almost like he wanted me to like go into all this fantasy language about decadence and pleasure, and I was like, I don't want to do that when I haven't met you yet. Like, you're a stranger. I didn't make myself wrong and replied, right, like, decadence is wonderful. This is a great question. However, this is something that would feel more comfortable for me, right? Like, in person. So I paused. I didn't tell him what I wanted him to do. I didn't say, so when are you going to give me your phone number? I mean, or when are we going to exchange phone numbers? Or when are you going to take me on a date? Like, I didn't say that. I just merely expressed what would make me feel good, really hoping that he would take the initiative. But what happened after that was he just decided to say, fair enough, and then just blurt out all kinds of things that he finds pleasurable and decadent, and it was sexual in nature too. And I felt really, it just didn't feel good in my body. And there would have been a time where I would have been like, oh my gosh, this really hot man likes me. I wouldn't have seen it from the position that I do now, where I am the chooser. And this doesn't feel safe to me. This isn't what I want. I want a masculine, godly man that wants to pursue me with intention and clarity, and wants to like get to know me in real time, slowly unravel each other through friendship, walk in purity and me in modesty as we get to know each other, and then under a covenant of God, share our vows and seal our covenant by becoming one on our marriage day. I don't want to be talking about what lights me up, what's decadent, and what will give me pleasure before I even meet you. I don't want to go into these long conversations. And there would have been a time that I would have gotten into that performer mode, and I would have done it. And I was, back then, I was sabotaging my own happiness. I was not emotionally available to myself to honor my own emotions and say, this isn't okay with me, and I'm not going to do this. And I was too afraid back then to do things like that, right? Because it might risk someone leaving. And if you're afraid to be alone, if you don't trust God, then you'll do somersaults and backflips for people and call it chemistry and love, when it's really just self-abandonment and self-harm. He proceeded to not ask me to go to coffee, and then just gave me this whole thing about pleasurable things and decadence, and I just really didn't like it. It didn't feel good to me. I didn't make him wrong. I didn't shame him. I just replied and said, this doesn't feel good for me. I am looking for something different. And then he replied, he thinks it's better to get to know each other on the apps for a while, and then you meet in person. And so I just basically said to him, I think it's just a matter of preferences. I think it's a matter of like what works for you and what works for me. And it's okay. Like, it's all okay. Like, this works for you. This works for me. It's not lining up. Okay. Like, we're not going on a date. Like, all right. And there would have been a time when I would have been like, no, 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 wait. I'll tell you what I feel like is pleasurable and decadent. I can't lose you. No, I am so content and happy in my life with Jesus. I'm so grateful to God, the way that God has changed me in a way that I can't even I can't even explain what God has done in my life and how much He has transformed me, a former drug addict, alcoholic, sex addict, woman who chased after love and approval and validation until it until I was basically a skeleton of nothingness. I just come from a very different place than where I am today, and I'm so grateful. So if you're in a position where someone's not moving the energy forward, and it's making you feel like you need to perform or you need to do something, it could be a calling for you to turn your focus on to Jesus and say, I'm going to rest in my identity in you, Christ, that I am chosen, I am accepted, I am loved, I am safe. I have everything I need here in you. I have salvation. I have I have your peace wrapped around me. And from that position, I'm going to be reminded of what you say over me, daughter. Daughter, as a daughter, you're a daughter of God. You're royal, you're chosen, you're accepted. You're grafted in. You've been made holy. You've been sanctified, set apart. From that position, we don't act like bitches. We don't act like divas. We act like soft queens that know our worth. And we say things with eloquence and grace. This doesn't work for me, and I'm not afraid to let it go. And if He wants to step up, He will. And if not, goodbye.